The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Welcome to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, but I got a guest, co-host, always on Tuesday, 360-degree health, and that's no other than the wonderful, the genius Dr. Michael Mantell. How you doing today, Doc?
I'm doing so well, JC. This show is going to be terrific. I'm just delighted with our guest.
Hey, Todd, can we lock everything in and let's get this party started?
Check it out. It's your life with Dr. James Cooley.
Hello. Welcome to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And I'll tell you what, Tuesdays on all platforms, all 84 platforms, radio included, we got the one and only Dr. Michael Mantell. He has done it again. He hit another home run like he do every week with some of the greatest docs in the world, not just the United States, but the world. And so we got one for you this time. This is something new to me. I'm not gonna give it away. I'm not gonna give it away. So how you doing, Dr. Mike?
Doing great, doing very well. I'm just delighted that here we are for another Tuesday, and that means 360-degree health. And we're going to be covering such an innovative area of health today. People are going to be like wowed when they learned what we're talking about.
How you doing, Dr. Cooley? How you doing?
I'm doing great. And, this guest, he does amazing. He's an amazing specialty from the medical profession. And we're going to learn more about what he does, what the specialty is involved in. And we can't wait to get the show started.
Well, I tell you what, whichever platform that you're watching this on or listening to us on, if you're watching us on E36 television, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, and over 84 other platforms, welcome to the show. If you want to be part of the conversation, there's two ways that you can do that. You can go to the comments on the platform that you're watching us on, or you can pick up that phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. But still, can you do the honors and introducing the title of the show? I know you thought me and Dr. Mike was going to give it away. A title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely amazing guest.
Most definitely. So, audience, it is 360-degree Health Day with Dr. Michael Mantell and our special guest, Dr. Mickey E. Abraham. And the title of today's show is Regenerative Neurosurgery. And again, we're having a conversation with Dr. Mickey Abraham. He's a neurosurgery resident at UC San Diego with a focus on bioethics, innovation, and regenerative neurosurgery. He's going to discuss stem cells for spinal cord injury, brain-computer interface, and bioethics. So again, he's a neurosurgery resident at UC San Diego. He holds an MS in philosophy from Columbia University. Dr. Abraham has developed expertise in neuroethics and served as a resident member of the UCSD Bioethics Committee. His research spans gene therapy, stem cell interventions, and neuromodulation with publications in stem cell and bioethics literature. He has secured NIH and CIRM grants and co-investigated clinical trials in spinal cord injury and Parkinson's disease. He is dedicated to integrating ethical principles into the development of novel neurosurgical therapies and advancing responsible medical innovation. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Mickey E. Abraham.
Thank you for that kind introduction. Thank you for that very kind and generous introduction. It's a pleasure to be here and discuss some of the topics that I'm most passionate about with you guys and the broader audience.
Wow. This is, I don't think we ever had a brain surgeon on, especially regenerative. I don't even know what that means, but we're going to find out. And so welcome to the show, Doc. Welcome to the show. So I want to start off by asking, can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up, what made you click, why you're so passionate about the things that you do?
Yeah, so my name is Mickey Abraham. I'm currently a neurosurgery resident out in San Diego, originally from Brooklyn, New York, the Coney Island area, for people who are familiar with the almost exact opposite end of the United States. And grew up in a household that really valued helping others and making the world a better place. And with that platform and with that lens, it drove me into the medical field, into the ethics field, and neurosurgery is certainly at the frontier and forefront of the healthcare space today. And I felt I could make the biggest impact on patients in the field of neurosurgery.
Mickey, Dr. Abraham, you are certainly a visionary neurosurgeon. You're working in an area that is so at the forward cusp of medicine today. You're pushing the boundaries of what we once thought the brain and spinal cord could recover from. So we're going to be talking about what does it mean to regrow what was once lost? How close are we to reversing paralysis, healing traumatic injuries, or restoring cognitive functioning? We're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm very curious to start with by focusing a little bit on this notion of regenerative neurosurgery. So let's start by defining that. What is regenerative neurosurgery?
Sure. Let's start with the second word. I think that's a bit more self-explanatory, neurosurgery, but I'm a surgical specialist, so I operate on the brain and spinal cord and peripheral nerves. So anything related to the nervous system that requires a surgical fix is something in my space. And regenerative, the word regeneration means to kind of produce something again or to grow something back. So for example, very simplistically, if we get a paper cut on our finger, or we get a small scab. The skin actually over time grows back very rapidly. Over the course of a couple of days or a couple of weeks, our skin cells regrow, we heal up, and over the course of the next month, it's like we never got injured again. But something about the nervous system is different than other organ systems. When we see patients who suffer from strokes or suffer from things like dementia or spinal cord injury, something about those injuries in the nervous system makes it very challenging for patients to recover. The same way our skin cells grow back, our brain or spinal cord doesn't necessarily have those regenerative capabilities. And regenerative neurosurgery is the space that's trying to bridge that gap to say, can we discover things in science that we haven't yet discovered to help that nervous system, the brain or spinal cord, repair itself after an injury?
So, what gives you the most hope right now in your field?
Neurosurgery is an amazing space to be in right now. And I think the appropriate analogy is something like the cardiology space was 40 or 50 years ago. 40 or 50 years ago, if someone, suffered from an unfortunate incident like a heart attack or cardiac arrest, there was very little the hospital system, medicine doctors, cardiologists could do to help that person. Today, people have heart attacks and walk out of the hospital one day later. They get stents placed, they're on medication. There have been amazing advancements in the field of cardiology over the last 50 years. And I think neurosurgery is in the infancy of those innovations and those leaps and bounds forward. I think there's so much basic science that we're starting to understand about the brain, the most mysterious organ of the human body. And as we start to discover and unfold some of these mysteries, we will be able to make those leaps forward in the regenerative neurosurgery space, but the whole field of neuroscience more broadly.
Yeah, so they talk about stem cells, and I know you hit on that just a little bit. But a lot of people don't think that it works that well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think stem cells, it's a very interesting point because stem cells have been around for quite a long time, but they haven't yet had the impact we've all been hoping and dreaming for, to translate that to patient care. And I think we're still in the very early stages of stem cell research, even though the discovery of stem cells happened in the 1950s and 1960s with the first bone marrow transplant happening really 70, 80 years ago. Stem cells specifically are an incredible discovery because they have the ability to grow into any cell population in the body. So stem cells can both differentiate into any cell type. You have an original stem cell, it could grow into a bone, it could grow into a tooth, it could grow into a neuron or a brain cell. And that gives them the ability very early on to have those same characteristics that an embryo has. A very early cell in a baby that's growing at day 5 or day 6 that produces an entire baby over the course of a 9-month term to try to harness those capabilities for patient care and patient delivery today. I think there's a lot we still don't understand about stem cells, but there's a lot of amazing discoveries happening today just over the last decade that are helping move the field forward and actually move the needle for patient care.
We have a couple of minutes left in this segment. I wonder if you could share a patient story, obviously with confidentiality, that shows the real world power of regenerative techniques. Let's give this a human feeling.
Yeah, there's an amazing patient story that's out there on the internet of a surfer who suffered from a spinal cord injury. Spinal cord injury typically affects people at the peak of their life. So these are 30 to 40-year-old, generally men, but also female, who may have young families who are at the peak of their work life. And over the course, this patient suffered a specific spinal cord injury. And he enrolled very early on in a stem cell trial for spinal cord injury and is on video walking with some assistance, but went from complete paralysis to a pretty remarkable recovery where he is very highly functional and almost back to his baseline. And this is a patient that inspires me every day to keep moving forward. There are a lot of questions about why this patient had a good response and other patients might not have, but that's something that's a story and a patient case that moved the needle forward and is inspiring our whole field to keep going.
Okay. Oh, Doc, we got to take a station break, and I tell you what, as you see, it's already exciting. We got 3 more seconds, so I am excited about this. Hope you are too. If you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In a Black
James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith and learning come together to transform lives. At VCU, we believe that education is more than just academics. It's about fostering a community of growth, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Viridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Viridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
It's your life.
Hello. Welcome back to It's Your Life. As you already know, 360 degree Tuesday. And we got, of course, we got the superstar, which is Dr. Michael Mantell, who always bring in a heavy hitter, another superstar with him. He got one today. And we're talking about something that we haven't talked about, regenerative neurosurgery. And I cannot wait to get back into this topic. I see, Dr. Michael, you got a few questions, so I'm turning it back over to you.
I got more than a few questions, JC. So, Dr. Abraham, what conditions are you treating now that maybe just a decade ago or so had no good options?
Yeah, that's a really important question. I'd say there are four main areas that we're treating today that 10 years ago, stem cell therapy and these novel clinical trials were not an option for. The first one that I participated in most thoroughly is the spinal cord injury space. It's a very new space where we're trying to regrow connections in the spinal cord to help restore function. Others include Parkinson's disease, dementia, such as Alzheimer's disease, and even something as debilitating as ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. So those are the four big categories that we're currently treating in clinical trials.
Let's talk about Alzheimer's. Not because I'm 76 years old. I'm still functioning well. But tell us about what is this doing with Alzheimer's disease? How is regenerative neurosurgery helping people with dementia?
Yeah, so various forms of dementia, Alzheimer's disease being the most common, is a result of a specific area in the brain degenerating over time. The brain, if you look at a CAT scan or an MRI, some images of patients with Alzheimer's disease, specific areas of the brain are smaller than the average population. So cells are dying at a very high rate in that area. There are a few things that we're doing to try to stimulate growth of new neurons and new nerve cells in that area. One that we haven't discussed yet is an area of neuromodulation, which is using electrical stimulation of the brain, both implantable devices that we put in surgically, but also like something that's transcutaneous through the skin. So a device that actually stimulates parts of the brain deep in the specific areas that we need to help stimulate new electrical activity and new growth of neurons and cell populations to help prevent or at least slow the onset of Alzheimer's disease.
You mentioned three other areas that you're working in. Let's talk about the breakthroughs that are allowing the brain and spinal cord to heal in ways that were once thought impossible. How does this apply to those other three areas?
Yeah, so the overarching challenge with all the different diseases that I'm dealing with are there is degeneration of the central nervous system, either the brain or the spinal cord. Some of that degeneration is because of trauma or a stroke, for example, but others are because of genetics. So Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's disease have genetic components to their degeneration. So does ALS. ALS has a whole series of different genetic mutations, which is one of the reasons it makes it so challenging to treat. But because of the underlying genetic mutations with these diseases, we can try to harness the capability of genetics and actually restore or fix some of those genes. And the ability to re-engineer cells or actually tell cells don't produce a protein that's causing a problem in the cells, but actually, no, we're sending you a signal to actually produce the correct protein. That has the ability to reverse or more simply slow down the progression of some of these neurodegenerative disorders. So while they are all different, they share common themes of neurodegeneration, many from a genetic component, but some again from a traumatic component as well.
My mouth is hanging open. I'm just in awe. Because you are literally at the cutting edge of hope. And we know that patients need hope. So many patients come into, whether it's psychological issues or medical, and they just want some hope. And so many doctors don't have a moment to give hope. But the way you talk about it and what you're talking about, it just comes across. Hold on, pain ends. That's how I define hope. So, Dr. Abraham, what are some of the ethical or technical challenges in regenerative neurosurgery today?
Yeah. Before we transition to that, there was one very powerful moment in residency where one of my mentors said, before you walk into a patient's room, especially a patient who has to see a neurosurgeon that day, just remember you're meeting someone on what is likely the worst day of their life. And just take a moment and reflect on that moment and say, what can I do to make this patient stay slightly better? Whether it's offering a treatment or offering a trial, or at the very least offering some hope to that patient to know that there was a moment in time where breast cancer was not treatable, and today it is. We may be at that moment today with regards to brain diseases. And the patient-physician relationship from a bioethical standpoint is something that is very important to me. It's a relationship that I value tremendously. And the fine line with regenerative neurosurgery specifically is something that we call therapeutic misconception. And which means that the patient or the individual who's thinking about enrolling in the trial may have a misconception or misunderstanding or unrealistic expectation of what he or she might gain from this clinical trial. So when I'm communicating with patients about a trial for stem cells and spinal cord injury, I'll say something like, the early data looks very good. The animal data is very promising. Some of our early clinical trials are very promising, but we are still far away from a cure for spinal cord injury. And it might sound to me very clearly that I'm balancing the risks and benefits of this procedure. But patients, especially patients with devastating and debilitating disorders, tend to have what we call this therapeutic misconception, where they think they don't quite hear everything that I'm telling them about the risks, and they overstate and over understand the potential benefits. And my goal in that relationship is to really help manage and mitigate those risks.
Or you bring trust, time, and mutual respect to the doctor-patient relationship. Back in the late 70s, I introduced a course at UCSD Medical School called the Doctor-Patient Relationship course. It had never been taught before. And here we were stepping into an area that we know needed help. And today that bridge needs to be strengthened even more. Thank you for the work you're doing in that regard as well. JC, you're going to jump in on this.
Yeah, I'm jumping in because just something that he said kind of hit me. We're talking about the brain-computer interface and how it intersects with regenerative neurosurgery. Can you talk about that a little bit more, Doc?
Yeah, absolutely. So take, for example, a patient with spinal cord injury, a high cervical spinal cord injury. So they're paralyzed from their neck down. Their brain is completely functional. Their brain is sending signals out. Let's say the right side of their brain is sending signals. Mickey, move that left hand, move that left arm. But the problem is there's a problem with the transport, right? The signal gets out of the brain, but just cannot get past the upper spinal cord to get out to that left upper extremity. Brain-computer interface tries to bridge that gap. So for example, a brain-computer interface could pick up the signal from my brain and say, Mickey is trying to move his left hand. But there'll be a second interface on the spinal cord, for example, underneath the injury site that then stimulates the spinal cord in a normal area to say, Mickey, move that left hand. So it bypasses the severance in the spinal cord by picking up the normal signals in the brain and trying to send normal signals below the level of injury, bypassing the injury site. And that's the huge application of one of the huge applications of brain-computer interface, having electronics that interface and are implanted directly on the surface of the brain.
Wow, this is fascinating. I mean, everything that you're saying is fascinating. So a person would be able to move their hand because it bypassed that, or would they have a robotic hand or something? I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, there's a number of videos out. For example, there's a number of videos of patients having signals recorded from their brain and controlling a computer completely independently, being able to play video games at a very high level. And in fact, their video game skills actually improve because instead of the signal having to go from their brain, and there's a very small lapse between the signal going from their brain to their hand to actually move the joystick, this goes directly from their brain to the computer screen. So it actually bypasses that small limitation. And there are videos of patients controlling robotic arms specifically with a brain-computer interface.
So how can patients and families of patients become smart consumers of regenerative neurosurgery, regenerative treatment options without falling for the hype?
Yeah, there is so much hype around brain-computer interface. And stem cells in general have this just incredible hype around them as well. Everyone is so hopeful for improvements, and with that comes a lot of sometimes unrealistic or unmitigated expectations of what is actually achievable with the medicine we know today. You need to find really good physicians, really good clinicians, really good support groups. I find some of my patients with specific brain tumors or other pathologies, they find a lot of great information, even on something like a Facebook patient group. I encourage patients to go look in those materials, to peruse the information that's out there, so they become smarter consumers, so that when they see me, they have all their questions ready to be asked. And I could say, well, actually, that's not quite within the current standard of care of medicine, even though you may have read that somewhere, versus, no, that actually is a very interesting part of medicine that's being advanced. While I may not offer that, there is a center down the road that could be a good option if that's what you're pursuing. But getting the right information, asking the right questions, but ultimately finding the right specialist, finding the right surgeon who you develop strong trust with and you develop a strong relationship with, who can help guide you down the right pathway.
Wow. We got to take a station break, but I'm telling you, Dr. Michael, Dr. Abraham, this is fascinating. And I'm learning so much. And that was a great question that you asked about educating family on how a lot of this stuff works. I tell you, whichever platform that you're watching us on, if you want to be part of this great conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments, ask any question that you might have, or pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, 1-888-344-1170. When we come back, we're going to talk about the linkage, what you think. The linkage, what you think. So get ready.
Come on.
At Viridian Christian University, we believe education
A
is...
Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
VCU from USA! Welcome to Zanzibar! Zanzibar! Habibi! Welcome to Zanzibar! VCU!
Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
The future is here. Now is the time to pursue the greatness in you. Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith meets future. We are a fully accredited, 100% online Christian university. We offer bachelor's degree, master's and doctorate degree programs built for students like you. Affordable tuitions, 30+ degree programs, 100% online and flexible, integrating faith with learning. Study from anywhere at your pace. At VCU, we do not just prepare you for a degree. We prepare you for purpose. Discover who you are, grow in faith, and build a future that impacts the world.
Are you ready to start your journey today?
Visit www.viridianchristianuniversity.com. Apply today and be among the global leaders.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! It's The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James Cooley. All right. It's your life with Dr. James.
Hello. Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, especially on Tuesday, 360-degree health. With the real host of that is Dr. Michael Mantell. And he always brings, just like I always tell you, the best doctors in the world to educate us and to give us a different perspective of things. And so he has brought an absolutely superb superstar with him today that's enlightening, inspiring us. And I hope everybody's learning just as much as I can. But before we start with the next segment, I always do this portion call. And, Dr. Michael Mantell wrote a couple of books, maybe like 5 or 6, 7 a week. He always shares the link is what you think. So, Dr. Michael, what are we talking about today? And the link is what you think. 5 points that our viewers and our listeners should take away from this.
Well, I love being able to do this quick segment to help our listeners, our viewers live better and disturb themselves less. So I got 5 things. I just opened the book randomly as I do each week. This is on page 256, and there's the book, and it's on laughter today. Here we go. Isn't life better when you're laughing? So what stops you from doing it? Why aren't you? Don't you see the humor right in front of you? 2, one of the best tools ever packed into a survival kit is a sense of humor and a smile to go along with it. 3, without laughter, today could just be a big waste. Come on. It's the best and least expensive medicine. OD on it once in a while. Number 4, no sense of humor? In that case, you could have no sense at all. And number 5, looking for a tranquilizer with no bad side effects? It's called laughter. By the way, it's free. Take a dose several times a day and watch how more relaxed you feel. And remember, the real link is what you think. And if these 5 points have sparked even one way to help you live better, to disturb yourself less, then guess what? Mission accomplished. So until next time that we bring another, the link is what you think, stay curious, stay kind, and don't sweat the small stuff. Your next mindset shift is just one thought away.
I love this. I love it. What are your thoughts, Dr. Abraham, on that magnificent 5 thought-provoking what Dr. Michael Mantell had just said?
Yeah, and neurosurgery naturally brings a degree of seriousness, which laughter is very helpful with. I mean, patients, it helps brighten up their day. There's always the right moment to deliver laughter. There's always, it's not all the time, but those small moments, those brief moments of happiness and laughter in what is often a very challenging period of their life can really help change their day and week.
Even for the physician. One of the things
Absolutely.
that you mentioned, the doctor-patient relationship. One of the things that I try to help young physicians especially do is get their mindset when they're going into the room with a patient. So I tell them, when you walk in the room, close the door, take a step back, and let the doorknob hit you in the back. That's not real pain, but that just gives you a sense of awareness of what this person is going to really be experiencing. So on that note, I have a question about what advice you would give to young physicians and scientists entering neurosurgery today.
Yeah. I'd say I'd recommend having a very high degree of kind of natural openness to new things. That's number one. So it's a field that is so rapidly changing. Like the field you will go into is not the field you will graduate residency from, and is not the field you'll be practicing in 10 or 20 years. The techniques and tools that we're using today should be outdated in 10 years from now. I should not be using those tools that I'm learning today. But that requires a great degree of openness to learning new things and the ability to adapt very quickly.
So when you imagine 10 years from now, do you have any thought, any clue what this field of regenerative neurosurgery is going to look like? We'll look back in 2025 and we'll say, we called it regenerative neurosurgery but way back then. But today, what's next, Dr. Abraham?
Yeah, I think it's so hard to say because there are so many factors out there. But I could totally see, for example, the world of gene therapy changing rapidly across the neurospace. So being able to deliver some gene correction for someone with ALS could instantly cure them of their pathology. Something like glioblastoma, the most aggressive type of brain cancer. Surgery is not the answer. Surgery is part of the current treatment pathway, but surgery is not the answer and will never be the answer. As we understand more about the genetics of these tumors, it may just be a simple medication that rapidly changes those genetics, corrects it, and helps patients get on their way. We always say that the best future for neurosurgery is if I'm out of a job, and that's counterintuitive.
Right. So you are part of something that's called the Lineage Cell Therapeutics. And I just saw the post this morning. I assume it's public, Lineage Cell Therapeutics. And it's something, and I'm gonna practice saying this word, oligodendrocyte, not bad, oligodendrocyte progenitor cell transplant therapy. Whoosh! That goes over my PhD head.
All right.
Tell us about what this is and what promise this shows for patients.
Yeah, Lineage Cell Therapeutics, they're a publicly traded company. They're based in San Diego locally, and they underwent an industry-sponsored trial. So they have the patent portfolio for this specific type of stem cell therapy, and they collaborated with the institution that I'm a resident at, UC San Diego, also through the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine. And to do these trials truly takes a mountainous amount of work and effort on many institutions' part. And they're continuing to advance and move forward this specific cell therapy type. And an oligodendrocyte is one type of nerve cell in the brain or spinal cord, but it's a progenitor cell. So it's an early cell in the stem cell pathway line, which will allow the stem cell to hopefully grow into the many different subpopulations of cells that the spinal cord needs. Spinal cord has motor function, spinal cord has sensory function. Sensory is so complex. There's vibration, there's pain, there's temperature. So these all have different components. And the hope is that this cell type will be delivered directly into the spine of patients with spinal cord injury and help grow and develop important parts of a new spinal cord to help these patients regain function.
You mentioned motor control, sensation, and I'm going to add autonomy. When you think about patient outcomes from regenerative neurosurgery, talk a little bit about what kind of patient outcomes are most meaningful, especially motor control and sensation and autonomy, like that patient example you gave of the surfer.
Yeah, that's such a good question. And it's something that actually physicians are not particularly good at answering. And I'll tell you why. You ask a physician, what does a spinal cord injury patient want? Physicians will say they want to walk, for example. They want to be completely cured. But that's not the scenario. Sometimes all they want is small improvements, which can dramatically change their quality of life. So, for example, if we could take a C5 cervical injury patient, which is a pretty high level in the cervical spine, and improve it to 2 levels to C7, which means this patient will have some biceps control that they got back, maybe some triceps control. So just a couple of critical muscles, their ability to operate independently in their life improves dramatically. They go from needing a caretaker like 12 hours a day to needing a caretaker 2 hours a day. They could suddenly operate their own wheelchair. They could now communicate with computers in a more effective way. And those small improvements, when you talk to patients and say, what are you looking for? Even small improvements move the needle dramatically for their autonomy and quality of life.
Wow. This is incredible. One quick, we got about 2 minutes before the break. Are there any ethical challenges as relate to restoration and neurotechnology that our viewers need to know about?
Absolutely. And 2 minutes will not do justice for this.
Well,
But
I tell you what,
even,
we can hold off on that thought. We can take an early break. We can hold off on that one because I want to hear that, and I'm sure Dr. Mike Mantell want to hear it as well. So I tell you, we're gonna Todd, just put us to the break, and we'll save a couple of minutes, and we'll come back and we'll get that on the other end.
With Dr. J.C. Cooley.
There's much truth in
At Viridian Christian University, we believe education is more than just a degree. It's a pathway to a purpose-driven life. Whether you're advancing your career, pursuing a passion, or building a new future, VCU's 100% online programs give you the flexibility to learn on your terms, anywhere, anytime. With expert faculty, personalized mentorship, and a faith-centered approach, you'll gain the skills, knowledge, and leadership you need to make a lasting impact. VCU offers bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees, each designed to empower you for success in today's fast-changing world. Join a global community of believers, learners, and leaders. Ready to start your journey? Viridian Christian University, transforming lives, empowering futures. Visit us at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. That's ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right. Now hear this. It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and Tuesday, 306 degree health. For my main man, Dr. Michael Mantell. You know what, Dr. Mike, I think this is our 80th 8 show or something like that last 3 years.
It's amazing. 88 shows. And you put up with me. Amazing.
It's get better every week, especially with guests like Dr. Abraham. You know, it gets better. But before we start, you know, I want to share. I'm going to talk about this university called Meridian Christian University. Not just because I'm the chancellor or anything like that, but our university is, I think it's great because it's offered an affordable program that people can do online. You know, Christian University, we offer over 36 different programs, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, and honorary doctorate degrees for people that are doing well and beyond. We are fully accredited, and I tell you what, we are a fraction of the cost of any other university, maybe 1/5 the cost. And you can do it all 100% online. And we also offer other courses as well. But I tell you what, if you thinking about furthering your education or you just want to do some coursework, look up meridianchristianuniversity.com. meridianchristianuniversity.com. Another thing, I just got back from Africa. That's why I keep showing all of those things where we had an opportunity to sit and meet kings, queens, and presidents. And I will be heading back. I have not told you about this, but I've been invited back there. I'll be heading back in about 2.5 weeks. You know, so
amazing.
It's amazing.
I want to make sure you come back here.
I am
there. Make you a king. Michelle, be careful.
Well, I'm going over to be knighted, so that's I don't know what that means, but I find out, you know. But I want to get back to the show because this is so remarkable, and wow, it's so much information. We have to have Dr. Abraham back if he has time in his schedule. We got to get him back on real soon, Dr. Micah. But
I'm sure, Dr. Abraham, when you come back, whenever it'll be, there are going to be 10 new aspects to regenerative neurosurgery that you'll be talking about because it's happening so quickly. And, you know, I wonder if I can ask this question. What are you finding that what role is the government playing in the work that you guys do at UCSD Medical School and elsewhere? The FDA, we have RFK Jr. going on and on about things. What's your sense of that?
The FDA is certainly a moving target today, I would say, and it hasn't quite landed even with this new administration. But the core principles of the FDA are centered around patient safety. So they're quite risk averse, which is understandable, but their goal is to ensure that researchers, clinicians, or companies that are advancing therapies, devices, drugs for patient care are doing it safely and thoughtfully.
Good to know, and good that we trust that to happen. What are some of the more common misconceptions that patients and families have about when they hear this concept of regenerative neurosurgery? It's such a new field. Someone comes along and they're being referred to a neurosurgeon, a brain surgeon. They have all kinds of fears, and then they're told about regenerative neurosurgery. What are the misconceptions that you hear that you have to deal with?
The biggest misconception is relaying to patients that, and this is a really important point, that this is still very much an experimental field. It's a very new field. There is so much excitement about many of the clinical trials that I spoke about, but many of these therapies are not yet FDA approved. They're still in the FDA pipeline. We're hoping and optimistic and working hard for patients to get these through and to make sure they're through effective and safe. But it's really important because I'm often seeing patients who are as debilitated can be, as desperate can be, and working with them to both balance that hopefulness and explaining to them what I think I can realistically accomplish for them, but also having to be realistic about the challenges ahead and explaining to them that this is still experimental and a really important stepping stone on the way to a very bright future for patient care.
And we are very fortunate and blessed that UC San Diego, here in San Diego, is on the forefront of this. Are there other universities that are also working in this field? I assume there are.
There are absolutely many good universities are working on this. Mayo Clinic has a regenerative neurosurgery center. University of Pennsylvania out on the East Coast is another big hub for regenerative neuroscience and neurosurgery. So there are certainly some other centers, and many of our trials are collaborative. So we work together given the challenges and complexity of this.
Looks like we just have a minute or so left. And JC, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, how can, if people wanted to reach out and get in touch with you, how would they be able to do that, Dr. Abraham?
Yeah, probably the best way would be via email, and that would be at health.ucsd.edu. So that's M Abraham, the first letter of my name, last name at health.ucsd.edu. And I also post on LinkedIn every so often updates about the field and where things are headed. So those are two places where you can find me.
Well, I certainly would love to have you back on. I mean, we did not even crack the surface of this. And Dr. Mike, if you can get him back on real soon, we'd be quite pleased. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today. I'd like to thank Dr. Michael Mantell, my hero, for being there, always identifying great guests. I'd like to thank my beautiful wife, Dr. Michelle Cooley, for always being there, supporting and putting together executive producers to keep Dr. Mike and myself in line. Most importantly, my studios in San Diego and Dallas. Toddy, you are the greatest. And I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in. I tell you what, always, always, always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do.
Cooley, your life. It's your life. With Dr. J.